All right, good afternoon. I'm here this afternoon with Todd Smith. Todd is president and general manager of WWL TV here in New Orleans. And Todd, I just can't thank you enough for being here this afternoon. This is really special, so thank you.
Thank you.
And Todd, I reached out to you some time back based on the recommendation of a mutual friend to see if you would join this movement we're calling the Neutral Ground to improve civil discourse. And you were a pretty quick yes. Why?
You know, John, I think a lot of it has to do with it's kind of what my thought process has always been in terms of some of the problems that I see, that we really don't have that opportunity to just engage with each other and listen. And so when you reached out to me, it seemed like, okay, things happen for a reason. The timing was good. I think it's extremely important in this environment that we're in, that we have an opportunity for us to listen to each other. And this seemed like a really good start to kind of move that philosophy forward.
What are you seeing out there, Todd, that seems like it's worth improving or working on?
Well, you know, and it's funny. The human mind is such a thing that when you look back, you only remember the good stuff, which is probably healthy for us. But it seemed as if when I was a younger person that people sought information and context. They look for things not necessarily just to support the position that they've already formulated, but they looked and had an opportunity to kind of look at both sides of the story. And they took that time and they took it seriously. And if you and I were engaged in a conversation about something that we may have basically differed on, at least back then, it seemed that we had an opportunity for me to listen to you, you to listen to me, and then maybe come to a point where there was some agreement or some resolution. But we sought information that wasn't just there to support what we had already decided. And I think that's something we've missed recently.
How do you think the media, and by that I mean everything, the broadcast media, the print media, how do you think they can contribute in a positive way to what you just said? And how do you think they can be a more negative presence in respect to what you and I just said?
I think for local media, generally, you know, our mission is to provide information and give context and allow people to formulate their own opinions. I think sometimes there are things that are perceived as media that aren't necessarily what we would consider journalism. You know, an opinion is important, but it also has to be identified as opinion. And I think sometimes that's where we miss that opportunity to improve upon that discourse. If something is opinion, if something is editorial, it needs to be clearly identified as such and not presented as fact. I think from that perspective, all media outlets can help in this conversation. It can help move things in a positive manner. I think where we run into trouble is when opinion or conjecture or a position is presented as this is fact. Mm-hmm. That's when we run into trouble.
So you're saying separate your opinion page, if you're print media, from your news coverage, yeah. And in broadcast, make sure you're clean on fact reporting versus offering an opinion. It's fair to offer an opinion, but make it more clear what that is.
Mm-hmm. That's right. You have to be able to let people know that this is editorial or this is an opinion, that it's not necessarily based upon, or it's not what we would consider news.
It's not straight reportage. It may be a distillation of straight reportage, and it may be legitimate, but it's still an opinion.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
What mindset do you specifically promote at your shop? What is it that you push at your shop to maintain that kind of integrity we're talking about?
I think, you know, one of the things we talk a lot about and is that the profession of journalism, the press, is included in the Constitution for a reason. And with that being included in the Constitution, there comes a responsibility as individuals and as an organization, that we have a responsibility to make certain that what we're doing is objective, that we're not really putting things out that we feel this is the way we feel, but that we're giving people information that they need. You know, we believe, and we talk about it a lot, that one of the true tenets of a democracy is a free press. And so I always tell people if they're a part of our team, if that responsibility seems too daunting or your position does not allow you to do that, then maybe there's a different career path for you. Maybe there's something else that you should be doing. But for us, we take it very seriously, and we feel that we contribute to making society a better place by providing people with information and content that they can use to make more informed decisions. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're here for.
Thank you. And as you know, in our group, we're promoting the adoption of certain behaviors. We're saying we commit to set the example of seeking to understand opposing points of view, to reserve judgment. You've seen the list, it's clear on our website. Why do you think that's important?
Well, I really think, John, that that's so important because as individuals, that's really the only thing you can control. You can control what you do. You can't control what somebody else does. So if we make a commitment to be more objective, to listen, to share, and to earnestly get into those conversations and have an opportunity to listen to another opinion objectively, we can control that. I think that's probably the biggest thing. A lot of times what happens is we try to convince somebody else, and that's not what this is about. It's about us taking an action. It's a personal vow. It's something that we as a collective have said, I'm going to commit to this. And I think that is such a distinguishing factor from getting to the point where I'm going to convince you of something. It's like, no, I'm going to listen to you, and hopefully you'll listen to me. And in doing so, we'll reach a point that's a lot more productive and a lot better for us as individuals, and ultimately long-term for society.
Thank you. Todd, what's the question I didn't ask? What else do you want to say? You're going to be on YouTube someday, promoted on our website, and literally hundreds of people will tune in. Hopefully, it's a lot more than that. I'm joking. But what did you wish I had asked you that I haven't?
I guess when I think about it, one of the things is that is there, or what happens if we don't do this? Like, where do we go as a society, as a nation, as a world? What happens if we don't do this? And I fear that we become divided and that we get stuck in a quagmire where we really don't move forward. I think there's a big fear. I have a big fear of that, and I think it's a real fear. And so I think the question that I would ask is, well, what happens if we don't do this?
That's too beautiful of an ending for me to trample on it. I'm not going to trespass on that, Todd. That's fantastic. Thank you.